Welcome to the segment we're gonna call Taco Bout It, where we're gonna just grab a quick meal. It's not always gonna be tacos, and we're gonna just talk about some recommendations that we have to, I don't know, enrich your spiritual life with like some books or devotionals, movies, or anything like that, lifestyle habits. So last month we did kind of a similar thing with carpool worship, where Dwight and Rebecca gave you guys some nice worship songs to check out, and it's kind of like the background on it. But today we have a different focus, which is TV shows, particularly one TV show. So we're going to talk about that. Before I get into the TV show, I'm going to introduce you our host for today. Some of you may know, but I'm Lydia, and I'm from Gwangsung Presbyterian Church. I'm the youth leader there, and in our ministry, I just do mostly the background stuff, so you may not see me up there worshiping, but I'm behind the scenes worshiping and kind of getting things ready. On my left is Naomi.
Hi, my name is Une, but some of you folks know me as Naomi. I go by both, and I am a member of HCPC Livingstone, and I am a teacher for the youth group at my church. For Kingdom First, I'm usually also behind the scene. So hi, nice meeting everyone.
On my right is Tessia Kim. She's one of my students from my church.
Hi, Lydia is not my teacher, but yeah, my name is Tessia, and you guys probably don't really know me that much because I've been off island for a year. I'm actually a full-time missionary with YWAM Circuit Riders, so I go to high schools and colleges across America to preach the gospel.
Yeah. You know, our theme is drawing closer to God, and I think it's really hard for us as Christians to draw closer to God when the things that we're putting into our bodies with what we watch, what we listen to, and, you know, what we basically hang around with, it's super hard to want to draw closer to God when you're just being fed secular things all the time, you know? And so I did binge watch a lot of shows, but I don't think that was particularly
Anime.
No, don't expose me that much. But then, you know, I think probably on my spiritual life that wasn't really healthy. But so that's why today we're here to recommend you guys a show that is like a healthier option where it would help enrich your spiritual life, and you can binge watch without any conviction. And so that show is called The Chosen. All right. In short, this show is about the life of Jesus. But before you say, you know, like not another one, because there's like tons of movies, tons of things about the life of Jesus, this show is a little bit different because it gives his life in a more fresh perspective. Are you okay? Right now, this show only has 8 episodes. That's the season 1, and they're funding season 2. But just to give you like a backstory about what this show is. And this pilot episode actually became super popular, right? It was seen by over 20 million people on Facebook, and it was translated to like over 10 languages. And then 16,000 of those viewers who watched the pilot episode, they helped fund $10 million to start this project for The Chosen. And so from then on, you know, God's been really working through this team to create such an amazing show. So when I said that this was kind of a unique take on Jesus's life, this first season actually starts or ends when Jesus's ministry starts. And so it was called The Chosen because it mainly focuses on how these disciples of Jesus were called to be followers of Jesus. And so, but before I go on, I'm gonna add a disclaimer. And the director also emphasizes this fact, but this show is not meant to be a replacement for scripture, right? And the reason why he says this, and the reason why I also put in this disclaimer, is because this team made a lot of creative choices in their narrative storytelling of this series. The perspective is more about how the followers of Jesus, about how the people who were healed by him and touched by him, like how they saw all these events happening, right? So it's a pretty fresh take on these old stories. This means that they do add in some elements that you don't read in the Bible, okay? For example, they add backstories to these disciples that are not particularly something that's in scripture. But as I was researching about this show a little more and listening to the team, they've done like tons of like research. They've done like tons of they especially research in the Gospels. They research the history and the culture of the Hebrew people back then, and they also have like consultants, like a messianic Jewish priest on set and stuff to kind of refer back to. So these backstories that they kind of give to some of these characters in these events may not be like completely true, but they're all very plausible things because they were all things that were happening around at that time and just what the Hebrew people were kind of experiencing in their life. Of course, they don't just make up every single scene. They also add iconic scripture events like the wedding feast or when Jesus heals the paralytic. But rather than focusing on the miracles, this show kind of focuses on what kind of impact did his miracles and who he is have on the people around him. Every person I talked to who's watched this show really loved it. And you know what? Even the director says this too, but in fact, like watching this show made people want to read the Bible more. It made them want to go back into scripture. So he didn't want these videos like, don't say, okay, just because I watched The Chosen and I know what's happening in the Gospels, like I don't need to read it for myself. Don't do that. But like definitely go back into the Gospels yourself. But I think this show really did inspire people to want to go read the Gospels again. All right, now that we've kind of given you an intro for this show, let's get into why we recommend it for all of you guys and why we think it's a really great show to maybe even binge watch on one of your days, right? I brought, Naomi and Tessie, who've also seen the show, to also kind of give their take on why they would recommend it too. So Naomi, why would you recommend this show to someone and what kind of impact did it leave on you personally?
So the reason why I would recommend the show to others is I think it's cool how you see Jesus's ministry being played out, and like it shows the progress, or it shows how Jesus reached out to his disciples and how the disciples joined his team one by one. For me, it was seeing the way people reacted or responded to Jesus' ministry that made everything feel so much more real and personal. So one example is Mary Magdalene, how she gets healed in episode 1, and then she follows Jesus without understanding herself how she got saved. And later on, there is this scene, it's in a different episode, where Nicodemus is asking Mary a question, but Mary's response is, I follow him, not the other way around. He doesn't tell anyone his plans. And this scene really got to me because I'm a planner. So for me, I get very bothered when I don't know the specifics of a plan that's coming up. I need to see like the schedule, I need to know what's happening. But then I know it's a very random scene, but that statement that Mary gave, it showed me what it looks like to follow Jesus in faith. And then lastly, there's also this really beautiful scene. I cried in almost every episode, but I also cried in this episode. It's really beautiful. With Nicodemus, he meets Jesus privately on the rooftop.
Yeah, that was so
There's
good.
a little humor to it too, but they meet privately, and I don't want to spoil it. I really wish you folks watch this series.
Okay, so for you, Tessia, how did you learn about this show, and what impacted you the most, or what scenes stood out to you?
So I first heard about the show when it came out. I was on a tour called Carry the Love, which is what circuit riders do, and we as a team decided to watch the Chosen series throughout our tour. So a scene that impacted me was actually when John and James left their father, Zebedee, when Jesus called them to go. And I think it just impacted me because like they didn't know Jesus's plans, like Naomi said, and they didn't understand what they were getting themselves into, but they knew like the cost behind it, and they knew that following Jesus was more important than their comfortable lives. For us as people, we are actually like Jesus's disciples too, because like the people we're reaching out to are people who don't know Jesus. And like I'm not saying just because like I'm a missionary means that I have to go reach out to people. Like the missionary in the there's no such thing as a missionary term in the Bible, because like we're all called to be missionaries. So like even Lydia and Naomi is a missionary, because like just even being able to reach out to like people around you, like in the streets and stuff. And I think that just like impacted me the most, because like these people like kind of left everything behind to just follow Jesus. And like another scene that kind of like relates in a way is when Jesus called Matthew the tax collector.
Oh yeah, that was such a great moment.
And like he didn't even need to like call Matthew, but like he called Matthew despite like knowing who he was, because like tax collectors were like one of the worst people in like those days. They were like basically like the prostitutes of like right now, and like
They're seen as traitors of society.
Yeah. And like it's just crazy like how Jesus would go for the one. And I like it's just like even like for us, like I feel like we need to go for the one and stuff.
So I hope we gave you guys enough reason to watch this show. I guarantee that you won't regret it, because I've watched it with like 9-year-olds. I've watched it with like, you know, teens for my youth group. I watched it with adults, and any age group, they really loved it. And you know, it's also available in like tons. I don't even know how many languages they have in the subtitles, but literally like there's no language you can't find. And so, you know, if you have like, I don't know, Korean grandparents that can't understand English, or any other like friend that you wanted to recommend this show to kind of introduce them to the gospel, you know. And so how you can watch this, there's many options, but the free and easy option is to download it on your phones or tablets, because if you download the app on your phone, then it's free to watch all 8 episodes. If you want to watch the episodes on the website, there's like different ways to donate called Pay It Forward, and you know, we did the lowest option because that's what we could kind of afford as a youth group together, but there's many other options, and you know, all this Pay It Forward amount goes into funding this season 2. And actually, like, I think episode 6 out of 8 is already funded. Yeah. So yeah, they're almost done funding the season 2 as well. But you know, like, everything counts and everything helps. And you know, also supporting this team, you know, investing into this team is also how we can help share the gospel as missionaries, as Christians, because this kind of thing could bring someone to salvation as they watch it. And for us to be part of helping this team to reach those people, that's all part of God's kingdom. But in any case, that's all for today. Thank you, Naomi, Tessia, for talking about the show, recommending it. Hopefully in the future we can have maybe more of these segments, but maybe we can focus on some other things as like spiritual brothers and sisters. You know, especially for when we have our younger students, you know, that's the point of church, right? That's the point of fellowship, to be able to share these things, to encourage each other, right? To have to live a more enriching spiritual life as well. So, and you know, just recommending things that have made a positive impact on our own lives. So we're not recommending this to you guys because someone's paying us to do it. You know, we're doing it because we watched it and it really helped us in our own personal journey. So we think that it may help you guys as well.
Yeah, and you guys can watch it because for me, I'm personally not doing anything at home, and I'm pretty sure it's the same way for all of you guys out there. So instead of scrolling on Instagram for an hour or whatever social media TikTok you use, You can take an hour or two out of your day to watch this episode.
Or the episodes are like mostly 30 to 40
Yeah.
minutes. All right, so thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us on our K1 Kingdom 1 July live event. And stay tuned until the end because we have a bit more coming up as well. Bye.
Bye.